Does it bother you that your entire library of Atari ST software is now obsolete? Do you miss the bright green glow of the GEM desktop? Are you trying to fit your old Atari ST inside your new Windows PC? Are you frustrated that you can't simply merge your PC and Atari into one like the chocolate and peanut butter of a Reese's peanut butter cup? Well, look no further. Just like the other infomercial products like the ShamWow and Snuggie, as seen in the October 1994 issue of ST Format, we now have the Gemulator.
Only runs the most well-behaved software such as FirstWord, PageStream, GFA Basic, Calamus, and a few others. Any software using timers, MIDI ports, or most games are unlikely to run. Other than all the software that doesn't work, your PC will now act just like your good old Atari ST.
Greetings and welcome to the Power Vintage. Right, so this lovely little Gemulator card. I apologize a little bit for the intro, but at the same time as I don't really apologize. The name Gemulator, in my mind, screams infomercial from the 1990s. I don't know if they had those overseas in different parts of the world, but in the United States, they would have these infomercial shows on television where they take a half an hour and actually pretend like it's actually a show to entertain people, to sell some various random product, such as something like a Gemulator, at least the title of it. Things like a ShamWow. If you don't know what a ShamWow is, Google ShamWow and you'll find some crazy stuff. All right, well, the intent behind this is to be able to run Atari ST software on your PC in the mid-90s. But this, I think, has its story. The whole genesis of a Gemulator card and Gemulator software starts really in the 1980s. You know, if you go back to the 1980s, there were so many different ecosystems. You had the Apple 8-bit. You had the Apple 16-bit, Macintosh. You had the Atari 8-bit, the Atari 16-bit, the Commodore 8-bit, the Commodore 16-bit. You also had the Commodore 128. That also had the CPM capability built in, 2 CPUs and 1 computer, right? In order to be able to juggle between the two. And then you had, obviously, when you had the Atari STs and the Amigas, something that I would see on a regular basis, and I actually was able to test out a couple of these in the past, is a PC CPU or an x86 CPU on a board that would stack right on top of the Atari ST 68000 CPU. There are I'm sure there are similar cards and similar boards for the Amigas. I know in the Amiga 2000, the big box Amigas, you had those various different bridge cards that existed, where you could actually, it basically was a PC on a card. And in many instances, if you looked at those Ataris, an Atari 520 ST, cost of that plus one of those cards, before the really cheap clones came out, it was actually very reasonable. And in that instance, you actually got almost the best of both worlds. You had a PC-compatible computer, as well as an Atari ST or an Amiga, which in my mind, in the mid-80s, in many ways, was much or vastly superior to PCs. That said, you had that best of both worlds. Even in the Atari ST, you had these Magic SAC cartridge port devices peripherals that allowed you to plug in effectively Macintosh ROMs and run your Atari ST like a Macintosh, which again, super cool, right? You get a Macintosh for an Atari ST plus this Magic SAC peripheral cost, and it was still significantly cheaper than the Macintosh. So these are all the kind of cool things that were going on in the 1980s. But at the end of the day, really part of the reason why those cards, the bridge boards, etc., existed is because really PCs, the x86 architecture and the software associated with the PC was slowly becoming more dominant. And eventually, most everyone moved off of those old systems and had to move off of those older systems. Again, some people may have stayed in Macintosh their entire lives. That's wonderful. But I would say the vast majority of people at some point in time moved from those computers in the 1980s into the PC world, right? And I'm just talking about those that I was experiencing. I know there were many others, MSX, others in the UK and in Europe and various parts of the world. But when we moved on, me as a kid, my ecosystem was basically a bunch of games and a little bit of productivity software. You know, I had 4 major things that I did on my Atari ST. Ultima IV, Dungeon Master, pretty much every other game that I had, and did a little homework on productivity software. First Word, right? Typing up papers and the like. But if I were someone who was working professionally or had a substantial amount of some of that productivity software, as well as files, it might make it difficult, a little more difficult to switch over to a PC because I have that technical debt, whatever you want to call it, that investment that you don't want to just throw away. So the whole idea behind this Gemulator card, because the writing was on the wall for the Atari ST in the mid 90s. We call it a dead platform, dying platform, a commercially dead platform by the time that this was coming out, really. And the intent was to be able to use that software that you had, the legacy software, and use it on your PC. So, in today's video, I'm going to go through the process of getting this thing set up, installed, and running on my lovely Compaq. And in reality, this was a perfect example. This was the first PC that I had after my Atari ST. So let's see how it goes. Let's get to it. All right. So let me tell you about this Gemulator ISA card. It's not just an ISA card, it's also the software associated with it, where I got it, how I came across it. As you can see, there's even a dollar amount associated with this right here, right? So at VCF Midwest, there was a great guy who was selling a number of Atari 16-bit things. Not necessarily computers, but a lot of peripherals, documentation, just some random cool stuff. And I walked by his booth table area, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. And my eye was drawn to this every single time. I kept looking at it, oh, $40. You know, I don't know how much I'll actually use it. It might be making for a fun video. And towards the end of my time there, I was actually asking, I was like, you know, can you give a little on the price? And his feedback was, and I think it was actually excellent. He said, you know what? The big thing and the value of this is not necessarily the Gemulator. It's the TOS 2.6 ROMs. Those in and of themselves typically go for $35 to $40. Ha ha! I said, well, I can burn my own TOS ROMs. So what would you sell this to me for without the ROMs? Take them out, pop them out. He's like, he made me a deal that was fantastic and very attractive. So as you can see, I brought this home, and I have since, one of the things I did do in preparation for this is I did already burn myself TOS 2.06, high and low. All right. So this is a combination of this lovely Gemulator. And really, if you look at this, there's really not a whole lot to this board here, this ISA board. I'm not expecting this to do a whole lot, right? But it does hold the TOS ROMs here. And what you can do is, and I don't know why there's 8, because the maximum TOS chips that you can actually have are 6. And it does mention in the manual that you can go do with a 2 TOS or a 6 TOS system and emulate either an STF or an STE. All right, we're going to put this over here, put this back here, because really, I mean, you look at this. This is a really, really simple board. Logic chips, a little dip switch, some more chips over here, and then very simple stuff. And then the sockets for the ROM chips. We'll put these ROM chips back. And then here we have the software, the disks. We have Gemulator 3, Gemulator 95, which is what we're going to use here because that PC you saw over there is a Windows 95 computer. So this is just an STE emulator. And this is emulator for Windows, for DOS. So this is STE, and then a preview or an upgrade. Cool. Oh, wow. An Atari 800 XL. Well, I have to take a look at that. That sounds interesting. We'll have to see what that does, because that might be an interesting little side thing. We'll do that maybe a little bit later. All right, so we have the floppy disks, the user manual. This is hardware installation. Okay, so TOS available 2 sets. And this tells you how to install the ROM chips. I don't know why it shows with all of them populated. It could be that you have TOS 2.06 and then you have TOS 1.04 in the other, the other 6 slots there. Maybe that's what you do. So you could actually emulate both at the same time. That might be what it is. All right, software installation, how to install it, configuring it, color versus mono. It comes pre-configured to run the 386, however, it also offers 486 code. Well, that'll be interesting. So we will see how it does with the Pentium. It might be a little interesting. I may have to find a different computer in order just to run the Romulator. We'll see. Oh, you can actually set up a hard disk, a virtual hard disk. That actually sounds kind of cool. Modem support. Quick slow. So can use some optimizations to speed up to 68,000 emulation. Type quick to enable this option or slow to disable it. Okay. You know, I've done a little bit more research on it, and we'll see if it actually can run any sort of games software or whatnot. VGA graphics, it only has 3 built-in graphics modes, 16 color, 4 color. Yeah, low, ST low, ST medium, and ST high. So very good. Ah, okay. So there's also patch to allow 4 additional modes. 640 by 40 monochrome. Okay, that's just expands it a little more, which will be kind of cool. 640 by 480 16 color, TT medium. Aha, interesting. 800 by 600 monochrome and 800 by 616 color. Nice. So the 3 modes, blah, 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 blah. The 800 by 600 is voted by most superb, blah, 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 Diamond Viper, Sang, QVision. Well, we'll see if again, there might be some issues with the VGA adapter in that PC over there. Cool. So this is version 3, this is version 4. All right, so enough of the manuals. Time to get started. Okay, put the Gemulator board in front of you, like so, with a connector facing downwards, and the metal strip to the right. We got that, all right? In the 8 available sockets, you have to install these 1 touch chipset, blah, 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 blah. On the top right-hand socket is U1, and we can zoom in and see the U1 and U2. All right. On the chips, you'll see some letters. You have a TOS in a 2 chip set. They're usually marked EO and EE. No, they are not in my case. But I'm going to assume that EE, or even, will be the, let's call it high. And EO, odd, is low. Well, I'm going to guess. Let's see. I figured I'd do a little more research. Check the interwebs. And what it suggests, at least what I was able to find, is that low should probably be EE, and high should be EO. So I hope that's right. We'll see. If it doesn't work, well, we'll try something else again. You know, this is a whole fun learning experience. This is something brand new for me. Boom. And we have the TOS installed. So the next thing is, let's see, fitting the TOS ROMs, the dip switches, Dip switches basically says have 5 and 8 turned off. Zoom in here. 5 and 8 are turned off. Good. And just checking again. Good. And installing the Gemulator board. All right. Lovely little warning. If you have the ROM chips in the wrong order, then the Gemulator will not work. Well, there we go. Okay, that's fine. If you fit in the wrong way around, reverse them. I've already checked that. We have them in the right direction. The notches are in the right place. You can destroy the ROM chips. Double check now. A mistake can be expensive. After installing the TOS chipsets, you can install the Gemulator board into your computer. Make sure your computer switched off. Whew! I'll make sure of that. Ground yourself, blah, 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 and stick it in. All right. Let's go to that. And we have one ISA slot on this side and 2 on this side. I believe 2. Yes, 2, and then 2 PCI slots. What we're going to do here, I'm just going to zoom in on this. We're going to work on this side of the computer. And just open this guy up, pull off this guy. It's a little latching mechanism. Set that off to the side. Put the lovely little board into its happy little ISA slot. And I think, look good. Yeah, it looks good. All right, so the next step is to hook it up and power it on. It's not plugged in, so me pushing the power button like that didn't do anything. Let me get a monitor, keyboard, and mouse set up. We have our lovely monitor over here. Let's scoot a little closer. All right, let's hit go. All right, zooming in. Here we go for Windows 95. And we are booted up. Time for a little Gemulator 95. Oh, I got Mu2 in the CD-ROM. I like Mu2. It's almost as good as Ultima IV. All right, installing the Gemulator software. We'll find that, boom, boom, boom. Before you go any further, print out the manual. All right, well, let's double click on Gemulator. Oh, cool. All right, machine, Atari STE. Let's make sure you blitter. Cool. Let's do color. I'll do 4 megabytes. I like 4 megabytes. Ah, so the ROMs are not, I must have put them in the wrong place. Time to go back. We'll swap them out and try again. All right, back in Windows 95 for try number 2. Wow. I'll boot it up a lot quicker. Seems to work. Yes, and I had the TOS ROMs in the wrong slot. We can see that there. Boom. TOS 2.0 2-chip. Perfect. Let's assume a blitter. I want to have 4 megabytes. Color. Sure, let's see. Let's save that. Oh, and we are... Oh, this is cool. Oh, there we go. Oh, man. Okay. Well, I'm unprepared. I don't have the most important disk of all. I found it. Most important disk of all. And we're just going to do this and do a quick, see if that Control-Delete. No, that doesn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Oh, it doesn't want to read the floppy disk. What? It doesn't want to read Ultima 4. That's sad. Let's see if it wants to read something else. Well, we are going to exit out. Oh. I have some stuff on the hard disk. Oh, a bunch of junk. Not junk, but stuff. Cool. Now I just need to figure out how to shut it down. Oh, look at that. Even says, pat your PC on the back. Good job, PC. Accessing your Atari floppy disk. Alright, so how do I exit out? Control F11. Aha. So we can, let's have Ultima 4 in there, and let's just see if rebooting gem works. Ooh. It's not liking that disk, I think. Yeah, it is not liking that disk. So I'm going to have to do something differently. I need to have Ultima 4 at least visible on here. So I think I need to format the disks differently and copy the files onto there a little differently. All right, I'll be right back. First thing I'm going to do is I have a single-sided double density disk. I'm going to format this guy. And then I'm going to copy the file. The nice thing about the Atari ST is that we'll be able to read this and copy files onto it. There we go. We'll do 720 kilobytes. Start. Here we go. So we're going to have to do something different. Oh, well, it is. So it's doing a full format. All right, I'll jump to this when this is over with. What we're also going to do is I'm also going to boot up my Falcon and use my Falcon to transfer the files from the ST formatted disk to the PC formatted disk. Be right back. At the bottom of the screen, you see some speakers. All right, there we go. Let's just take a look at the floppy disk, and hopefully it can read it and see what's on it. Yes, we have it. All right. Super important now. And we boot. Okay. Come on. Most important thing of all, most important test. Come on, come on, come on. Darn. I think we have failed. There's no disk activity anymore. That is unfortunate. But are we going to give up? No. Let's see here. Say properties. Virtual disks. Fast screen. Let's see what that does. I am just going to experiment. I apologize if some of you don't like me experimenting. I'll read later. Yeah, ST sound. All right. Oh, we have sound now. That is weird. Oh, I bet you that's the keyboard sound, the keyboard disconnected sound. Oh, so that's what the zoom meant. Aha. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy to the hard drive and see if that works. All right. What we have here is I've copied the hard drive version of Ultima IV to this floppy disk. And we're going to copy to the hard drive here. See if, we'll try booting it from the floppy disk as well as from the hard drive. See if that works out. This is the PPARA adapted version of Ultima IV. And yeah. And as you can hear, there's probably more echoey. You hear more of the fan noise in the computer because I'm not wearing my lapel mic, my lav mic, whatever you want to call it, lav mic. But I want to make certain that if and when we get Ultima 4 working and we get the sound working, we get it coming out of this computer. All right, that is copied over, and we can now boot into the Gemulator. And let's see, let's go to Control F11. Oh, alright, so let's go Properties. I'm going to have to reboot this because I do want to zoom in. And save, and now reboot. There we go, better. Alright, that's just making that lame noises. Alright, so let's go to C, hard disk. And we have Atari ST. Down at the bottom we should see Ultima 4. Now Winamp. Ultima 4 should be around here someplace, right? All these files. TUVW. There we go, Ultima 4. And we crashed. Let's try it again. Let's see if I can get it to work this time. My guess is it's not going to work. It's going to probably crash again. So sad. Now we're using first word. I'm going to zoom in on just that toss window. There we go. All right. Let's see if can we get ST, our first word, to work. Can we get anything to work? This looks like it might be working. And it is working. Power of Vintage 520 ST. There we go. Perfect. Nice little script. Okay, so I can get first word to work. That's great. Let me see if there's... I'm going to do a little more research and see if anyone has gotten any games at all to work on this thing. There we go. Oh! Oh! I got the FTL, but bombs. Bombs, bombs, bombs. Okay. I've got 2 more chances, I think, that I think may work. Let's go with this guy. All right. We're going to need to change a little something here. Let's set the preferences. Let's make this medium resolution. And then we boot from the hard disk. And there is something in here that I want to see. Yes, it's U2, not the group, but a different kind of U2. Never tried to run it from hard disk. Let's see if it does something. Lovely. I think I have my last attempt, and this is one game that copies over wonderfully. Because it has a very specific copy protection. And it is a Windows, or not a Windows, a GEM compliant game, I believe. Let's see if it makes... Yeah, not really very good. Alright, something's funky with the sound, but I have the manual here, so I can do the copy protection. It looks like it's booting. It's going to ask me on a page, paragraph, word. First word from line 8 on page 69. All right, well, this is about the autobiographies of these guys. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's anyway, I think. Oh, it's not 9, it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8. He. Oops, not her. He. And nope, it didn't. That wasn't the right one. Page 41. Line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, city. Come on. Perfect. New game. Alright, so this is a game, it's a world domination game. I believe it was actually quoted by Sid Meier as one of the influences of the original Civilization. It's turn-based, it's pure combat, well, I mean it's city conquering, but... Go. V. Yes, sir. And there we go. And I have a city, and it's on a grid, and I can produce these various different units. All right. Enough of this. This game looks like it'll work just fine. Okay. Well, this is an interesting experience. I think I'm going to see if I can't come back and do a little more research. The later version of Gemulator, it requires just ROM files. I think it can read from the ROM card, but I can't seem to get it to remember that it sees it. It sees it and says, I got that toss, but it doesn't quite remember it. And so I was hoping I might be able to find some more game compatibility with it. And as I've done a little more research on Gemulator, it was an emulator for PCs, for Atari STs, for quite a while. There's a more recent edition that came out relatively recently. But that said, I mean, Atari is really the standard across the board that at least that I've used for to a greater or lesser degree. This works. This was around for Windows 95, excuse me, and it works with productivity software. It worked with one game. It might have worked with Ultima II if I could get around the copy protection, but in the whole transferring from Atari ST discs to PC discs, I'm still Atari STs can read PC discs, but PCs cannot read Atari ST discs. So that causes some issues, at least from my experience so far with the system. All right, I appreciate you watching and kind of going through this, chasing my tail a little bit here, but it was a cool experience to kind of get an idea of what I could have had with my my PC, with my lovely compact PC, and trying to at least access some of my old Atari ST stuff. All right, have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Bye.